A lot of the season for the Raptors, there was all this discussion about how they should handle the latter half of the season. There was people who wanted to tank, get the best possible draft pick. There were people who very strongly wanted to try and win games, try and get into the play-in tournament. And now that we've seen the fate of the teams who made the play-in tournament and the teams that got through the play-in tournament and got to the playoffs, now we know the fate of all 4 play-in tournament teams in the Eastern Conference. Let's look how they did and how the Raptors would have fared had they gotten there. Would it have been worth it to keep on winning games? So, NBA standings. We were nervous, the Raptors. Like, I'm on Team Tank here. We were nervous the Raptors were going to accidentally make the play-in tournament. In the end, they were 7 games back of the 10-seed Miami Heat, and Miami went on a free fall in the last, 20 or so games to end 37-45 and to be the 10 seed. 7 games back of that team, the Toronto Raptors. Had they, really tried to make it, they might have been able to do it. Like their schedule was really easy, and we knew that, but it was easier than expected. They had to purposely lose a bunch of games. You take away the games they purposely lost, they might have done this. They might have made the play-in tournament. They might have knocked out the Miami Heat, which would have been crazy. They could have. I think if they wanted to make the play-in tournament, they could have done it, but they didn't want to make the play-in tournament. Why? Well, let's look at what happened in the play-in tournament. So Orlando win their play-in tournament game, play the Boston Celtics. Miami, away from home, beat Chicago. Away from home, beat the Atlanta Hawks. And play the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was the prize. Like you do all that work to get into the play-in tournament, and then you actually make the playoffs from there, because there's no guarantee you even make the playoffs from there. You actually make the playoffs from there. Because if you're the Raptors, you could have been the 10 seed, play the Bulls, lost for first round, and that's it. One and done. Sacrificed a better draft pick for that. Because then at that point you're way ahead of other teams. It was you're probably got the 10th slot in the lottery rather than the 7th slot, which is significant. But let's say you win both games in a row. Let's say you get Cleveland first round. I mean maybe whatever. Let's even say you finish 8th here, and you got the Celtics. This is the prize. Boston win 4-1. Closeout game, they win by 31. Maybe not a very fair example, but Cleveland win game 4. They sweep the Heat and win by 400 million points in game 4, 138-83. It was 72-28 at one point in this game. It was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster for the Heat. That's the prize. So, I look back at, and granted, we could do this same hindsight conversation. Let's say the Raptors end up with we look at the odds. Let's say they end up with the 9th pick. They go, well, what? 9th pick? We could have made the play-in tournament and got pretty much the same as that. We probably get the guy we want at 9, maybe even at 11. And we could have gotten that by making the play-in tournament still. If you make the playoffs, you're not in the lottery at all, and that's a completely different conversation. But we could look back on this in hindsight if the lottery doesn't go well for the Raptors and say, it would have been better to make the play-in tournament. So it's easy for me to say in hindsight, hindsight's 2020 here. Those teams got spanked in the first round, and I very much feel like a 7th best odds, the first overall pick, is better than this fate. You could talk about winning, building that culture. You could talk about the experience that would have come from it. All those things are valuable. Are they as valuable as the position we have for the NBA draft lottery? I completely, absolutely, positively do not think so. I do not think so. There's pros and cons to both. It's not like there's no benefit to winning these games, because people talk about these winning culture comes up a lot. Experience comes up a lot. I'm not denying that those things are important. Those things are going to help an NBA team, especially a young team like the Raptors. But what's going to help them more? A better shot at adding talent to the team for next season. So you have to make sacrifices. Absolutely you do. But like the Cavs, except for like one game, which we kept it close, but still like lost by like double digits, I think, the end. Like the Cavs throttled the Raptors all season. So your prize for coming out of the play-in tournament would have been a Cavs first round series where like I think you just get absolutely spanked. Absolutely spanked in the first round. I don't think that's something the Raptors should have been really trying to actually obtain. Our winning culture didn't come from being an 8 seed. Our winning culture came when we were a 3rd seed in 2014. We had home court to start off that era. Yeah. One thing we never had in that We the North era is we were never at least I don't think, an away seed in the first round. We were always the higher seed in the first round. We were always giving ourselves really good chances to win those first round series. We were always putting ourselves in really good position to win those first round series. And that was winning culture, not, finishing 39-43 and then getting swept first round. So I don't think that would have been beneficial to the Raptors. Like I said, there are pros and cons associated with it, but man, seeing the fate of the Miami Heat and to a certain degree the Orlando Magic, like those teams were probably better than the Raptors. The Heat, yeah, probably, but maybe if we had Brandon Ingram, Brandon Ingram does come back for the playoffs, but seeing how those series went, I was very pleased to not be in that position. I'm very pleased to be looking at these odds instead for the draft lottery. Absolutely.